What's up, Wastelanders? Now, as you know, I've said repeatedly that Fallout 76 is going to be a disaster. And while I'm of that opinion when it comes to a technical standpoint, given its developer's reputation and it being their first foray into an MMO-like territory using the same engine that, to this day, still has massive issues. But as time goes onward, I'm finding myself, with each bit of new information coming out, softening my position on the game. In fact, I'd be lying at this point if I would say I wasn't somewhat looking forward to it. But while I'm looking forward to it, and it might not be as disastrous as I thought, the defenders of this game are going to fucking hate it. Why? For the very simple reason that most people are going into this game expecting a PvE with light PvP experience. That's what they're going into. They think we're going to spend almost our time building settlements, killing creatures, monsters, mutants, all that, and helping robots on some quests here and there. And now with information coming from the Game Informer article, we know that PvP is more substantial than what has earlier been hinted. Now we know if someone comes along and kills your ass, they're going to be able to get your junk and then walk off with it. We know that structures can be destroyed, but they can be saved as blueprints. We know that you can raid other people's bases for resources, not items or anything that's stashed, but resources that they're collecting. That there's going to be some kind of penalty for this, but nothing set in stone yet. Which might end up just being some kind of bounty system or a karma reputation system. Those are the two most likely situations. And on top of that, we also know that you can now form factions, which we all know what that means. Restoring America aside, all this new information makes the game look like Rust 2 Nuclear Bungalow. A prospect that I personally, again, find exciting. But I know from comments and discussions it's not what many people are expecting who are defending this game, or what they even want. The reaction to PvP in general has been categorically toxic and vile from a very large swath of the community, and while not all, definitely, but enough to the point where just talking about trap bases, which have been shown in a trailer for Fallout 76 at this point, sent people into a frothing madness. These players I don't see being too happy about the information being presented or the scope of PvP being vastly more extensive than previously hinted at. By beta, I believe, honestly, a lot of these people are going to have their eyes open and they're just going to drop the game. And I'm honestly concerned at this point for the reaction Bethesda is going to get and the treatment they're going to receive on Twitter and social media. For the very simple fact that if they're one of the dogpiling people who are just excited about PvP, going, hey guys, you guys excited about the PvP? And they get flipped off, cussed out. Just, holy crap, the reactions I've seen. Just, not even for people trying to bait, from just people who are excited to play the game and didn't enjoy the same aspects that these people were ready to enjoy. And yet, I like to weigh in on how this game is likely going to shape up. As many people have said, the game will likely devolve into a shoot other players on sight if they're not in your group, and that's kind of how I see it going. Bethesda misses the detail of human nature that's quite important. In their offices, they're all friends, and if one of them decided to go about raiding the other players, they'd quickly find themselves shunned, or at the very least, people would start voicing their displeasure at this behavior. You know, this is not a climate where you can just go out building artillery camps, raining lead down upon a massive city that's being built out of multiple camps put together, and then not have any consequences befall you for this. These aren't anonymous players who they'll never meet in real life. In their office, these are all friends who have eaten lunch with each other and even hung out at each other's houses, celebrated birthdays together. You know, they know each other. That sort of connection is not something the average gamer is going to have when they go into this game. And the second caveat, which is really important, is that there's no risk to our lives. Civilization largely exists out of a sense of self-preservation. And that doesn't translate over very well to video games that don't offer very steep penalties for dying. And games that do offer these steep penalties still suffer from the problems we're discussing, but have formed unique cultures that center around the mechanics. And these cultures are extremely fascinating to hear whenever someone brings up. I'm not going to get on a tangent on these, but I mean, they are fascinating. But with Fallout 76, deaths are a temporary respawn time and a loss of your junk inventory. There is nothing incentivizing players to avoid dying, so there will be nothing to create a sort of civilized wasteland other than the whims and friends playing together. In all likelihood, it's going to go full Mad Max and it's not going to come back. To those players who actually want to build civilizations, build massive cities and mega settlements, they're going to be experiencing artillery barrages, missile fire, and even Adam's glory. Praise be to him. Right now, the main quests and the side quests sound repetitive and meaningless outside the reward pool, which frankly does not offer people looking for a PvE experience much in the line of things to do if they want to just avoid PvP. And ultimately, the design of the quests, from what we've heard so far, links in the description, of course, clashes with the ideal of survival and rebuilding America. These are really unsubstantial activities to do, and while the reward pool I'm sure will be really great, it's not going to give PvE players a lot of stuff to do. And the main focus of the game is going to be player interaction, something we can't be too angry at because this is what's been said since day one. Some of you will say, well, there will be private servers, and yes, those will greatly improve the experience, and they'll allow for rules to be laid down limiting the scope of warfare, and this will likely create some fascinating drama that spirals into massive wars. Much like the mega wars we see grip the EVE online community, which becomes so fascinating that you have entire communities who don't even like space sims sitting back and watching news feeds unfold of massive starships being warped in to fight over a space station. But here's the problem. Private servers are not coming at launch, and the developers have said their first goals are going to be bug crushing and optimization. Do not expect private servers for about 6 to 7 months, and I say that based on how long it took them to get Creation Kit out for Fallout 4. And I'm honestly not even going to hold my breath for mod support period for this game. If there are mods, which I do hope there will be, the greatest one will likely be a overhaul that adds NPCs, settlement management, makes the game essentially a cooperative experience you can enjoy with your friends. Some of the greatest mods for Fallout 4 being ones that add new and unique locations and NPCs will probably become some of the best mods for Fallout 76, and that's just kind of sad that the community has to shape this into a legitimate Fallout experience. I mean, as excited as I'm starting to become for this game, that's how it boils down to. Anyway, the beta is coming and Reclamation Day will follow shortly afterward. Let me know what you think in the comments below and hit that like button like you're nuking degenerates, and remember, it just works.